What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Roster Bubble Series video. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe, do all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate you all coming back. Also, share this out. Just a notifier about training camp videos and stuff like that. The days I put those training camp recaps out are going to be days that I actually attend the practices. And the days I'm not at practice, I won't really put videos out in terms of training camp recaps because I don't really like feeding off the beat reporters. It's just my personal thing. I don't really feel like feeding off beat reporters. And then I want to see it with my eyes, right? I have the ability to go to New Jersey, take New Jersey Transit, and go to the facility myself and, have my own takeaways rather than mooch off other people. And, other content creators do that. That's fine. That's obviously their own prerogative. I follow my own basis of what I do. But anyway, more of that stuff coming out. More MLB trade deadline stuff. More other Giants content as well. So definitely keep it here. We're a few subscribers away from 1.4K. And if you've been supporting for 2 months, 2 years, 2 hours, we appreciate you guys a ton. And we're growing because of you guys. And we're doing this for you guys. So another Roster Bubble Series video. In these types of videos, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes long. I take a player that's on the cusp of being cut. I talk about their background, their competition, how they could win a spot on the roster, how they could lose a spot on the roster. So today, we're going to talk about undrafted free agent Ryan Jones, tight end. Now, this guy's got an interesting background. He started in 2018 at Oklahoma as a linebacker. Yes, he started as a linebacker and got the most exposure at that time. 2.5 tackles for loss, 20 total tackles in 6 games. Then in 2019, in 6 games as well, had 1 interception and 9 total tackles, but decided it was time for a transfer. 2020, he did not play. 2021, he changed positions and colleges at the same time. He went to East Carolina in the American Conference and switched to tight end. Now, I would say the closest thing the Giants have had to a transitioner like that is Tate Crowder, who actually, got cut last year, but he was a running back converted to a linebacker when the Giants drafted him. Anyway, 2021 for Ryan Jones, 9 games, 37 receptions, 442 yards, 5 total touchdowns, 11.9 yards per reception. His final year at East Carolina, 2022, 12 games, 41 receptions, 413 yards, 10.1 yards per reception, also 4 touchdowns. So, with that being said, Ryan Jones, he's a converted tight end, as I've described before, and, whether you're converting from wide receiver or linebacker, there's only been a few that have converted to offensive line to tight end or vice versa. But in this case, he's a converted tight end, and he's still working through the position. He's still working through the kinks of many different things. And, the expectations aren't too high for him, which is a good thing because, you shouldn't be holding an undrafted free agent to high expectations anyway. But with that being said, here's what his competition looks like. Lawrence Cager, Tommy Sweeney, and Chris Myrick. Lawrence Cager, we did a video on a few days ago. If you guys haven't already checked that one out. Cager obviously came in last year for the Giants and had a decent-sized role as a mismatched tight end, pass catcher mainly, not a good blocker. Tommy Sweeney and Chris Myrick, both of those guys are fighting for spots, mainly as blocking tight ends. Ryan Jones falls in the category with Lawrence Cager as a guy who can line up in a lot of different spots, the backfield. At least this was him in an interview. I read an interview a little bit. Ryan Jones was being interviewed by some college reporter. He's like, yeah, I could line up anywhere, slot, outside. I could also line up in line as a blocker and, in the backfield as well. I mean, obviously, you're going to be inclined to one position in the NFL. It's not like Demetric Felton, he played a couple of different positions in college. Obviously, he's just a running back right now, at least to my knowledge, with the Cleveland Browns. But anyway, he's going to be inclined to just be, a pass catcher for right now. And this kind of slides into how can he win a spot on the roster. Create separation versus linebackers, corners, and safeties. He actually, on Thursday, burned Zion Gilbert on a route. I don't know what the route was. I forget. But I remember seeing him like, that's Ryan Jones. He's catching a pass from Tommy DeVito. So if he could do that in the preseason, cook some linebackers, and, I think he could also maybe make that slot corner position a little bit interesting. Because if the Giants put guys like Cordell Flott or Darnay Holmes or Zion Gilbert, or when Aaron Robinson comes off PUP, make that a little more interesting. Obviously, I know obviously Ryan Jones is a tight end and he can't do everything in the world, but I just threw it in there. Just threw it in there as a suggestion. But create separation versus linebackers, cornerbacks, and safeties from the slot. I don't think he's going to go to the outside. With that being said, also work as a blocker. You're a tight end. You're not a wide receiver. Work as a blocker. Do what you can. I saw a couple of different highlights. I didn't do a ton of film research on Ryan Jones. There's a couple of highlights in there where he's smashing linebackers trying to come down on the running back or come down to the line of scrimmage. He's got some nice highlights in there, but of course, my assumption is that Ryan Jones is not a fully formed blocker yet, being 2 years at the position, and it's just very likely more he's a pass catcher rather than a blocker. And also maybe find a special teams role. There's a lot of tight ends in this league that are not just kept for, okay, they could do this, that, and the other thing. It's also special teams. Obviously, when they're doing the PATs, they have that formation. He could be a personal protector, aka a blocker for the punter, and a couple other different things as well. So there's going to be multiple ways that Ryan Jones can find a way onto the roster, maybe another roster, or even the practice squad. How can he lose? Doesn't stand out, appears as a random camp body. Lack of a special teams role, I don't think that's going to really cost him. It might not, but of course, there's a lot of guys competing just for special teams. That's going to be their main path. Like Khalil Pimpleton is that type of guy. Yeah, he's got some burn in the slot and this, that, and the other thing. But the Giants have a ton of slot receivers already. So his main role is, okay, let me focus on punt returning, kick returning, and other special teams duties. Jeff Smith's a guy who's going to be focusing on special teams. Ryan Jones could be in that group. We'll see. Lack of functionality as a blocker. I think it's just all developmental with Ryan Jones. It's coming along, or at least it needs to, in terms of if the Giants want to keep him as a project, whether it's on the roster or on the practice squad overall. And lack of receptions, offensive attention. I think that's going to be the biggest killer because that's what he is. He is a pass-catching converted tight end. And he's going to be with the third team. He's not going to be with the second team, not going to be with the first team unless major injuries happen. But he's going to be working with Tommy DeVito. And DeVito has looked a little confused. I'm not going to lie to you guys. As a separate note before we get back to Ryan Jones, he's looked a little confused in camp. And, of course, he's going to draft a free agent. You're not expecting a lot out of a quarterback like him. But he's looked confused when reading the defense. But anyway, how can he win? Create separation versus linebackers, corners, and safeties. Work as a blocker and find a special teams role. How can he lose? Doesn't stand out. Lack of special teams role. Lack of functionality and growth as a blocker, and lack of receptions or offensive attention. I think Ryan Jones is going to get cut, but I think it depends on the preseason, really, in terms of if he makes a practice squad or not. Because if he shows stuff in the preseason, but the Giants know that he's really not ready to make the roster yet, I think they'll keep him on the practice squad and say, hey, listen, maybe we'll do an elevation for a game or two, see what happens. Maybe he does some special team stuff for us or whatever. Or is just an extra body, to keep on the practice squad just in case of injury. But, I don't think Ryan Jones is going to make it. I think he's a developmental type player. I can't say Roy Ambetika developmental, but, Ryan Jones undrafted free agent. I think there's upside, but not too much with Ryan Jones. But we'll see. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications so you know when live stream pops to your drops. Appreciate you coming back. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.